What's going on, everyone? So, with the Phoenix Suns landing Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green as part of the Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets, a lot of questions about, like, what are they going to do next, right? Are they trading Jalen Green? Are they trading Dillon Brooks? They're currently trying to unload, maybe even potentially buy out a Bradley Beal, right? All kinds of potentials and possibilities. However, Brian Windhorst talked about how it is more likely that they trade Dillon Brooks than they do a Jalen Green, which I think Dillon Brooks makes more sense. If you're a team that's trying to compete, right, rather than bottoming out, I think Dillon Brooks makes more sense for you because, again, you have Devin Booker, and you can have Dillon Brooks play your three. But call me crazy, where Jalen Green, again, you have the same problem you had with Bradley Beal. Call me crazy, right? Like, it's just like, why didn't Bradley Beal work? And my favorite thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, Jalen Green and Devin Booker, man, talk about a good backcourt. That's what they were saying with Bradley Beal. They play the same position. They want to do the same thing. They're the same player, just at different skills. Nothing's changed, right? Like, their issue wasn't that, Bradley Beal was washed up. Their issue is that he just didn't make sense because you have Devin Booker. Now, maybe it's better because you don't have Kevin Durant too, and if you're able to get rid of Bradley Beal, then it's kind of like you go, I go, but it's still, again, it's not going to be a great natural fit like a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker did because they play different positions and can do different things and all that stuff. But I digress. Talk is about Dillon Brooks and the Lakers, right? Because Dillon Brooks, and I know immediately people are going to say, well, LeBron James played with Lance Stevenson, right? Like, LeBron James doesn't care. He just wants to win. Right? He's not worried about, Dillon Brooks and their little shoving match and, little drama. You don't think Dillon Brooks would love to play with LeBron James? You don't think that guy would be jumping for joy if he could go to the Lakers and play with LeBron James and Luka Doncic? Of course he would. And look, for being honest, Dillon Brooks is everything this team needs. Gives you wing depth, defense, three-point shooting, toughness, right? Versatility. He's a guy that is not afraid to back down, that will, he pokes bears. Sure, I'd be more than happy to have him poking bears on the Lakers. I don't really want all the antics and stuff like that. I'd want him to kind of tone it down, with JJ and LeBron kind of like, hey, dude, but I also don't want him to lose his edge. I want that edge from him. I think it's something that the Lakers could really use, really need. And, look, the guy's competitive. I'd say what you want about Dillon Brooks, the guy's competitive. I talked about this with Memphis. It's like it's a clown act that he's doing and putting on the big circus and all that stuff. But hey, look, the guy is who he is. Right? The guy is tough. He gets after it. He gives you 110%. Right? He's one of those guys when he's on your team, you love him. When he's not on your team, you're like, dude, like these antics are just too much, right? But point is, if the Lakers can find a way to land Dillon Brooks, I'd love to get Dillon Brooks. A lot of talks about this trade potentially getting expanded. And if you're the Lakers, I think you go and target Dillon Brooks. Well, what is Dillon Brooks making? He's making $21.1 million this year and then $19.9 million next year. I mean, literally just like $8,000 shy, little less than $8,000 shy of making $20,000. So, $20 million, not $20,000. I wish he was only making $20,000, but he's making, like I said, $21 million. So you basically have to send out $22 million, which, basically any of our expiring contracts. You Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleba, right? And boom, there you go. There solves your the $22 million that you need to send out. So contract wise, that's not hard. It's just what would Houston or the Suns want? There we go. I knew I'd get it right. What do the Suns want in exchange for Dillon Brooks? If they want like a first and other, then probably not doing that. But if it's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, we don't want kind of the long-term money, we kind of get off of his contract. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have to give up anything, but big difference between like, hey, we want, a first and Dalton Connect and all these other things to where, if it's like, hey, we're doing you a favor, you're doing us a favor, here's, a couple pick swaps or something like that. Maybe you could work something out along those lines. The $22 million is not the hard part. It's just getting him at a price that makes sense for the Lakers. But what does Dillon Brooks provide, right? What could he do for this team? Well, first off, he's 29 years old. He'll be 30 midway through next season. So he's on the right side of 30, so you'd still have him for a couple seasons. I mean, even through another contract. Last year, he averaged 14 points, just under 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Talk about a guy 6'6", 6'7" in size. His wingspan matches his height, so he's not one of those guys that are like, 6'6", 6'7" with like, a 7-foot wingspan. He's a guy that, again, his wingspan matches his height, but it's more just, again, the effort, the energy, just the defensive versatility, his ability to defend essentially 1 through 3, defending the best player on the other team, all of that, and does it with pride. But he's also a guy that plays. You look at the last few years, he's played 75 games, 72 games, 73 games. He did have that one season in which he played 32, but 67, 73, 82. So guy that plays, is out there on the basketball court. Again, best ability is availability. So you want a guy that is giving you, 70 plus games a season. Somebody that you could trust to be out there on the basketball court. But last year with Houston, 32 minutes per game in 75 games played, 75 games started, took 12 field goal attempts. It was 11.9, shot 6.3 3-point attempts, but from the field total, he shot 43%. From 3-point range on 6.3 attempts, he shot just a hair under 40%. He was 39.7%. He is a career 36% 3-point shooter, but last year was his best 3-point shooting season, which, he's actually kind of been, the last few years has kind of slowly progressed. Right, he went from 31% to 32.6% to 36% to just under 40%. So he's kind of, projecting up, which is good. He'd also be playing alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James, right, and potentially Austin Reeves. So literally playing alongside 3 guys that would get him just wide, and I mean wide open looks. Dorian Finney-Smith even talked about it, right? They're like, hey, we had to have a meeting because all of us were just rushing our shots and not realizing that we are wide open. We have time to fix a sandwich and check our voicemails, and make a tweet and all this stuff, and then shoot the basketball, right? So that's something that's beneficial. But 2-point range, 5.7 attempts, shot 46.5% from the floor, which is actually down from the previous year in which he shot 49.2%, but an EFG of 53.3%. Free throw shooting, 82% on 1.6 attempts. He is a career 80.5% free throw shooter on 2.3 attempts, 3.7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, half a block, and 14 points per game. And that is in 32 minutes of action. So, he's a guy you could go and trade for and just slot him in at your 3. If the Lakers do end up trading Austin Reeves, then you could even slot him at your 2, right? That's the luxury that you have with him, is his versatility. And again, he's one of those guys that gets after it on the defensive side of things. He's a guy that can defend big, right? We talk about, you guys like Alex Caruso. I've talked about, a guy like a Bruce Brown, guys that are able to defend up. And you've seen him be able to defend, that 6'8", 6'9" guy. Right, and hold his own and be able to get after it, right? If you wanted to go kind of a small ball with him at the 4, if you really wanted to, and kind of go like a 4-guard unit like you saw OKC and, the Pacers run all playoffs, right? Well, if they do that, you can match that with a Dillon Brooks, right? And have, still some size out there and things along those lines. I don't think the Lakers really, because, you just have, your guys are so big, right? LeBron's like 6'9", Luka Doncic. Even if you just ran Luka and LeBron out there and went small ball, like those two alone, at least 2 of your guys are 6'7" and higher, right? Everyone else is whatever everyone else is. But again, I look at a guy, Dillon Brooks, that just gives you that versatility, gives you that shooting, gives you a legit 2-way player that you need. Right? And I don't think he's a guy that's going to break the bank. Right? You shouldn't have to sell the farm to go get Dillon Brooks. You shouldn't have to give Phoenix, Connect and a first and all this other stuff to go get Dillon Brooks. No, I don't know any team that would be doing that. But also the thing is, too, is that he is a guy that I could see multiple teams wanting, right? A lot of contending teams would want. But the kind of benefit it is he is making 20+ million. Right? So not every team can go in and make that happen. Right? The Lakers can. Right? Lakers give up 2 guys. Yeah, it's 2-for-1 swap, but those 2 guys aren't giving you the production that Dillon Brooks is going to give you. They aren't giving you the defense and the hustle and the shooting and all that stuff that he's giving you, right? And we really do need to kind of carve out our top, 8 guys. Whether it's starters or bench guys, even if Dillon Brooks is coming off the bench for you, I don't care. Like, you need him. You need a guy like him badly. Right? Even if you go with the same starting 5 and then, go sign a Clint Capella and then go trade for Dillon Brooks with, whatever, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect and whatever, Maxi Kleba. And I would try to see if you can go get like a Ryan Dunn too. Could you maybe do something like that? But I digress. Point is, if you can go get a Dillon Brooks, and even if he's a guy that's coming off the bench, and it's like you're having Dillon Brooks and Dorian Finney-Smith come off the bench for you, that's huge, right? Gives you that defensive versatility. 2 guys you could actually start. I mean, again, you could go Luka, Dillon Brooks, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and then go get that center. It'd be fine. Yeah, the defense, the switchability, all of that, 3-point shooting, all of that. But anyways, always, this is a discussion, pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.